Hey everybody, happy Friday. I am Jill. I will be your host this evening. How are you all? I was just trying to figure out why my camera went. I don't know why, but for some reason it decided to take off on me. Ah, okay. How are you all doing? What are you guys up to tonight? What is going on? How is the weather where you are? We've sat at 107 today, I believe. I hid in the house all day. I did. Yep. I wasn't having none of that. Thank you. Hey, there's Cindy coming in. See if I can get that to talk. I don't know. The camera's not wanting to talk. Let's see who all is here. Rosie is here. Denny, Chels, Jeannie, Joan, Holly, Joyce, Alicia B. I know. Who's cold? We'll send some of this warmth their way. Who's cold? Hello, Dana. Good to see you. Knitting artisan. She's in her llama pajamas. So I got dressed today and I don't have my pajamas on, but can you not hear me? I have it turned up. There's Jean. Hello. Sally Birch is here. Karen B. Yay, you made it. Frozen. Oh, everything's catching up. Chat just went jumped. Hi, Kat. All right. Okay. Hello, Denise. Uh-oh. Is Donna and Amber here? I bet you that's Donna. But you never know. How are you tonight? Actually, Hurley's, I think that one is Amber. Which one is it? There's Donna. Hello, Colleen. So how many of you have heard of this case that I am going to talk about tonight? And also, we had some very big news come out today. And that is, okay, yeah. I figured that one was Amber. And I was thinking she had her own. Glad you guys are both here. So there was some very big news today, and that is the release of Brian Laundrie's notebook. Did you guys hear about that? And have you seen anything on it today? JB had it on today on the WFLA channel. Hey, there's Chucker Steve and Lorna. Internet issues. That's A-okay. Glad you're here. Jean watched JB today. and Denise. So I will play that portion of JB's broadcast for you after I do. Now today's yeah. Yeah, I know. I know your eyes are rolling on that one, Alicia B. She's already picked up a whole bunch of stuff. A whole bunch of stuff. Dun, 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 dun. Yep. Hey, Teresa, how are you tonight? Good to see you. Yes. Okay, so we will go over that. Hi, Tony. How are you tonight? This case we're going to do probably in 2 sittings, okay? Because there's a lot to this case, and I cannot possibly get it all out to you in one sitting. And as much as I tried in doing my research and getting it wrapped up for you so I could present it to you in one, I felt like it deserved 2, and then I would not have to try to smoosh it all together, if you know what I mean. They are chatty tonight. Look at them go. And I would ask you guys to please hit that thumb if you don't mind. And if you are not, well, if you're watching this on replay, I want to say thank you. I appreciate all the replay viewers. Now let me see. I don't know why, but my camera, let me mess with that for just a minute while you guys talk about what was going on. Okay, we're going to turn it off. There, it let go. I think it was just hung. So WFLA is a station in Florida, I believe, and JB is a reporter, and he was on with, I can't remember the other guy's name. They have not been on together in quite a while. They did do some commentary on it, but I really just want to show you guys, he's reading the notebook to everybody. So there we go. Thank you. I love this shirt. Yeah, we're going to talk about that one soon. I'm doing research on it, but I'm not quite ready to do anything on that one. So let me see here. Awesome. There we go. Now I've got it working. Yeah, that JB. I know we haven't talked about him in a while. Yes, the Dylan Redwine case is very, very sad. So I understand if any of you have trouble with this one. It's anything that's with kids is difficult. So I totally understand if anyone has trouble. Oh, you do remember that, Chels. I didn't know that you remembered that one. Your friend knew Dylan? Teresa, is that who you are saying? Okay, Cindy. Oh my goodness. So that must be from the You must be from the Colorado area. Now this case was very interesting to me, and I'm sorry that, because I'm sure that hits home with you. Out of Tampa. Okay, that's where JB is, Tampa. Your work partner knew him. Oh my goodness. Well, I hope I do the case justice. So the reason this one was something I wanted to cover was because I have been following this case for some time. Uh, Dylan went missing in 2012, you guys, and I have been following this ever since. I believe it was in late, yeah, he went missing in late 2012. So I've been following this case since about 2013, somewhere around in there. Listened to a podcast that was trying to decide what had happened. I believe that it was on Vanished podcast. And of course, it was pretty well noted on a lot of places. I believe this case was covered by Nancy Grace. She had more than one show about it. So it was pretty highly, and of course, being that it was Colorado, of course, caught my attention right away too. So, hey, there's Nisi. Hey, Suze. Hello, those coming in. Hi, Sue. So I'm going to take you back to Thanksgiving weekend of 2012. Dylan Redwine's family was planning a large get-together. So Dylan was 13 years old, and his brother Corey was 18 years old at this time. Dylan and Corey's mom, Elaine, had remarried. So Dylan was living with his mom. His brother, I believe his brother was working on getting out on his own, but was not quite out yet. But of course, did not have to go see his dad, although they both went to see him. So Dylan was living with his mom, his stepdad, and there was at least one sibling that I know of, and she was a girl, and her name is Ashley. And at the time that this happened, they were living in Colorado Springs. I did write that down, knitting artisan. So Elaine had to move. They had been living in a place called Bayfield. That's where they all were together before the divorce. And Elaine had to move because the divorce went through. I believe she said it was in 2007 when the divorce went through. But she and her ex-husband Mark were in a lot of arguments and talks and things over. There was a lot of court hearings. Court hearing after court hearing after court hearing, because they could not work through all of the estate that they had accrued together. And one of those things was the house that they were living in, and it was in Windmill. And she finally just moved out and let him have it because it had gotten so bad. She just was over all of that. So around that, around the time that this happened, it was in September, right before Thanksgiving. There was also a court proceeding regarding the custody of Dylan and where he would live. And that was the early part of September 2012. Now, it was decided that Dylan would live with his mom as primary residence, but that he would still be court ordered to go see his dad. And That included this Thanksgiving weekend. That was a part of the court order that Dylan had to go to his dad's for Thanksgiving. Now, I'm going to give you, as of right now, I'm giving you an overview of this. Okay, we're going to get a little deeper into it as we go along, but for now, this is an overview of the case. Now, does this sound familiar to anybody? Hey, Cheryl. Hello, everyone coming in. Hello. Hi, Adele. Hello, those coming in. Verna. Oh, everybody's in the ads. So is this case sounding any more familiar to anyone? And just so you guys know, I get my information mostly from the internet. I get it from newspaper articles, from YouTube videos, from any source I can find. If I can find court proceedings, if I can I will actually watch the entire court proceedings if it's available. I do quite a bit of research and reading and watching of a lot of different stuff before I do this. And I don't intend to make any opinions as to right or wrong or solve anything. We're just getting together and telling a story and talking about it because we are all true crime junkies here. Yes, I was thinking you would remember Cheryl. Cheryl lives in the Springs area up there where my dad lives. So I was thinking that she would remember it. So, Cheryl, you're going to know a little bit about where this all happened, just so you know. So let me take just a minute, and I want to give you guys a little bit more about where we're talking about, okay? Okay. Now let me minimize a couple things and find, I have a little map for you. I want to show you a little bit about where we're talking about. All right. This is Colorado. Let me go out just a little bit here. See, that's the United States. We've got New Mexico down here, Oklahoma over here, Wichita, Kansas here. This is Fort Collins. This is Denver. This is Colorado Springs right here. There's Albuquerque, New Mexico down there, Las Vegas. Now, if we get a little bit farther in, this is Colorado Springs here. That's going to look familiar. Yes, up north. Yes, it was in Carefree. Carefree. I'm gonna find that for you in a moment, but I want to go in right over to here. This is Middle Mountain Road. Here's Bayfield. That's Bayfield, and there's Durango right there. Can you guys see that okay? Don't know how well you can see this map, you guys. Can you see it all right? That's Middle Mountain Road up there where that red dot is the road that Mark Redwine lived on. That's where Mark Redwine's house was here. Not right on that red dot, but in that area. And this Vallecito area, this is the reservoir right here. Now, Bayfield is at least 5 hours. Go back. Where's Colorado Springs? Here's Colorado Springs up here. It is 5 hours drive from there to where Mark lived. All right. Okay. This gives you a little bit of a perspective. So we're going to go to November 18th of 2012. Dylan gets on a plane from Colorado Springs to on his way to his dad's in the Bayfield, Vallecito area. He gets on the plane in Colorado Springs and he flies to Durango. His dad, Mark, picks him up in Durango. They go to Walmart. They go to, and then they go and they get something at McDonald's and they eat that on the way back to Mark's house. Now, Mark's house is basically a cabin up a hill, kind of in the woods, off at the end of a long road. There is nothing to do aside from outdoorsy type stuff. So ATVs, all of that kind of stuff. And cell phone service, internet service, all that kind of stuff was very, very sketchy. Now remember, this was 2012. So it's a couple gens back on cell phones. Dylan, Mark picks him up at the airport at around 6:15, 6:20, something like that, and PM on the 18th, and that is a Sunday. And then Thanksgiving would be on that Thursday. Oh, I hope you guys can come back in when you get it figured out. I understand, though. Now, the last phone activity that they was somewhere around 8:30 p.m. The last phone activity on Dylan's phone. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that's pretty early for a 13-year-old, don't you think? And that comes into play. There's a lot of talk about what was said on his phone. Hey, Pat. Hello, Donna. Anybody else I missed? Now, this is all we know about what happened on that evening. We have lots of text messages and things going back and forth between Dylan and his mom and his friends and his brother a little bit and all of that. And then everything stops. No more communication. The next day, Dylan's dad, Mark, claims he saw Dylan in the morning, that he couldn't get him up. And he went to do something that he had to do in Vallecito or in Bayfield. And when he got back, he says Dylan wasn't there. And he took a nap. He figured Dylan went off with his friends. He took a nap. Gets up around, that was around like 2:30. When he gets up from his nap, he realizes that Dylan's not answering his calls or his texts. So he supposedly goes looking for him, that he goes over to a couple of Dylan's friends' houses because those are the people that he knew where they lived, went looking to see if they had seen or heard from him. And when he realizes that he's not getting anywhere with it. He goes to the marshal's office. So he lives on Middle Mountain Road, closer to Vallecito, and Bayfield would be quite a ways for anybody to, if he was going to his friends on his own without catching a ride, it would be quite a distance for him to travel. So yes, Dylan gets to his dad. He knows he's been seen with his dad at the airport being picked up by around between 6:20 and 6:30. He is seen at Walmart with his dad, and then that is the last time that Dylan is seen alive. So there were numerous searches all over the area. However, some places could not be searched because of the weather. This is November going into December. There was snow on the ground. It was really cold. This is up in a mountainous kind of area. So yeah. Now Dylan's mother, Mark, Dylan's father, Mark, he calls her and he tells her that he can't find him. And she gets in her car with her husband and her son and goes straight to Bayfield and goes straight to the marshal's office. Again, 5. I'll have to pin that down. I'm not positive. I want to say it was like 4:30, something like 4:30 when he goes to the marshal's office. So he calls her. She and her family come. They go straight to the marshal's office, and they get to the marshal's office. He's not there. They tried to get a hold of him. He doesn't answer. He does not answer her. She tries several times to text him from this point forward, and he blocks her. He talks to the son a couple of times, and then all of that stops too. Very strange. Hi, Heather. Hi, Shad. Now, they do all these searches. They actually, Dylan's mother, Elaine, and his brother, Corey, stay in the area. She has a friend there who happens to be helping her to get her divorce. So this is a friend of hers, but remember, she used to live in this area, so she had lots of friends, and Dylan had lots of friends. Yeah, which is exactly what Dr. Phil said. My child is missing and I don't speak to the other parent. Yeah, just a little suspicious. Just a little. Hi, Sandy. Partial. Now they don't. When I first listened to this story, Dylan was still missing. Okay. Now we go forward to June. This happened in 2012. We go forward to June of 2013. Matter of fact, it was June 22nd. And partial remains were found. Okay. And they were found on Middle Mountain Road, not far from where Mark lived. Now, it was not right down, like right in front of the house. It was a little farther down the road, but not far. They found his clavicle bone. They found a shredded shirt. And the shirt was one that he had gotten when he was with his father, not the one that he was wearing when he went missing. There was a shoe, one of his shoes, an Air Jordan. There was a fila, or however you say that one, a sock. There was a set of headphones, and that was an older set that used to be the older brother Corey's, and he had given them to Dylan. Oh my gosh, Chelsea. Oliver was getting snacks. Oh, that's funny. Probably a lie, yes. Probably Cat that Mark came home and there was a bowl of cereal on the table and Nickelodeon playing on the TV. Yes, probably a lie. Yes. That's good, Sandy. You got how to solve a cold case. Awesome. Hi, Laura. Hi, those coming in. Hello, everyone. If you knew nothing else about this case and just heard just that the father wouldn't speak to the mother, that would be suspicious. Exactly. Exactly. Denny says, I don't like my kid's father, but if God forbid something happens, my children, they were young, I would definitely have talked. Exactly. And he has not ever admitted. Exactly. Isn't that, see, you guys are, some of you do know the case, but you guys, you understand where we're coming from with some of this behavior, right? So the partial remains were found in June 2013, what is ironic is that he something happened in June of last year. Anyway, and then Dylan's skull was found in November of 2015. They were doing more intensive searches because they now, after they found partial remains, they were able to kind of pinpoint that area, and it was 5 miles away. A couple who was out hiking, the husband picked it up and said, "What animal you think this is?" And the wife said, "That is not an animal. Not an animal." And he said, "Are you sure?" And she says, "I'm sure, and we need to go right now and report this." And the skull showed a fracture, and it showed that there were places where there had been blunt force trauma and punctures. So where it, as the crow flies, where the hold on as the crow flies, where the skull was found was in direct vision of Mark's house. Now it was 5 miles away, but if he had hiked from his house down to that spot, wouldn't have been 5 miles either. So, but if you were driving it on that road, it would have been 5 miles to get to it. Oops, not what I wanted. There we go. Oh, now I wanted to show you a video. Hold, please. Whoops. Let me find. Let me find the video I want. I've got a couple of them that are actually pretty interesting. That's not the one I wanted. Yeah. Hi, Laura. Give me a minute, you guys. I'm looking for it. That's the one I want. And this is from a local channel. This is Mark Redwine. At the time of this was, I believe, I'm gonna have to go back and look at what the date was on this one, but I think this was, I'll have to go back and check. Oh, why can I not hear it?
I know that it's been difficult for me, and I can only imagine how difficult it's been for his mom, his brother, and his family over in the Colorado Springs area. And we're doing everything we can to try to find Dylan, and we want to keep the focus on finding Dylan. I've been working with the investigators to make sure that all the bases are being covered on that end. And that's pretty much where I'm at with that. I mean, I'm doing everything I know.
Let me see. Hold on. They don't have subtitles on this one. Sorry.
I want to get the subject out of the way first. So well, I can only imagine being a mother, the frustration of hearing about your son going missing. I can only think that that has to do with latching out and trying to find who's accountable for this in this situation. I've been working closely with the investigators to do what needed to be done because, it was last seen at my house. I know there's rumors going around that he's been spotted by people, and our concern is that something has happened to the point now where we just want to keep in the public's eye, Dylan's face, and keep the focus on Dylan, and don't worry about me, and everything's going to be all right on my end. But I know this is all in troubling time for Dylan and my son Corey, and I spoke with him last night, and I'm surprised that we have been able to hook up today because one of the things that we're trying to do is unite together, and I have my oldest son from the Phoenix area here, and of course my brother's here, so we're trying to unite as a family and stay focused on what's important here. And everybody wants to focus on me, but the focus isn't me right now. The focus is finding Dylan, and that's where I'm at. Because I think it's just a natural part of the process, and I think because he was last seen with me, and he was with me the night before. And, I saw in the morning that I left it over at my end. So, that's the logical place to start. And so it doesn't at all surprise me, that they searched my home yesterday, because quite frankly, I was expecting that to happen a week ago. So, my opinion is we're all a week late in where we're at with this. And so really the focus is, what do we need to be doing now to keep searching for Dylan and bring him home. My prayers are with you, and I love you very much. It's the light of my life, and I just want him home, just like everybody else does. And that's why, we got to keep searching for him, because somebody knows something. We got to find him, and we need to know that he's okay. I don't want the focus to be mainly on me. I want the focus to remain on Dylan, because that's the most important thing right now. And the process of going on with the authorities and the people handling this is to search my home. All they had to do was ask. I would have willingly let them come in and do it. I've given them, I've cooperated with them in every way. Anything that they've asked me for, I've been willing to do. Anything that they've suggested that I do, whether it be sitting at the house waiting for the phones to ring or Dylan to walk through the front door, I'm willing to do whatever I need to do. And that's what I want everybody to understand, is that my focus is on Dylan and what's going on with him, and trying to keep.
By the way, you guys, that is one of his tells when he goes with his mouth all the time.
The investigation moving forward in whatever necessary means that is. And so, in cooperating with him, and we can keep the focus, on the search for Dylan, and that's really where I'm at with all of it.
So you went to run errands. Were you taking with you?
Well, there was some discussion that he had with me the night before about leaving with me so I could drop him off in the Bayfield area with one of his friends that had been trying to text him, or he had been communicating with. As he indicated to me that he was up till 4 o'clock the morning before, and that he was tired from being in the airport most of the day and his travel from Colorado Springs to Durango. I laughed at him kind of jokingly, because I know him. If he ain't got to get up, he's not likely to get up. He's not the kind of kid that's going to get up at 6:30 if he doesn't have to. I elected not to get up when I left, and when I left, he acknowledged that everything that I was saying to him, and that I would be back. He knew that when I came back, I would be working on getting him down to his friends. And that's part of the struggle that we all have, is, what happened to him between the time I left and the time I got back. And that's what nobody seems to be able to answer. Well, because he was with me for such a short period of time, we had touched on a few things. One of the things we talked about was going to my brother David's house in Castle Rock. I know his friends were important to him, so we wanted to make sure that he had adequate time to be with his friends. Basically the plan was Monday and Tuesday he would spend with his friends. Maybe Wednesday, we had talked a little bit maybe about going bowling or doing something as an activity, not with just me and him, but with his friends included. And then we'd have Thanksgiving Day to ourselves. Or there was possibility that we could travel on Wednesday and get to my brother's house. So, none of that ever got finalized. I mean, we were just focusing on the next day and what we were going to do and how that was going to take place. And that's as far as we really ever got. I know his friends are important to him, and I certainly don't expect him to spend a week with me and spend every waking moment with me when he's grown up in this community, and he has tons of people around here that love and care about him.
So, in the when was the last time you saw him?
I think probably sometime in early September. I had flown him over from Colorado Springs on a round trip ticket at that point. So he came over here and probably spent 3 or 4 days with me in that. And then, obviously we got him back to the plane and got him back safely to his mom. In that case, it was a transfer flight from the Durango airport or the Denver airport to a flight to Colorado Springs. And it was my goal to keep him on a direct flight, or one that he never had to change planes with, because there was some controversy between Mom and I about him being 13 years old and being able to do those kinds of things. And so, when I got the flight for him, I made sure that it was a flight that he could get on in Colorado.
Tell me a little bit about Dylan. What kind of kid has he been growing up? What's he like? What is
My
he
fault.
into?
tons of people around here that love and care about it.
So, when was the last time you saw him?
I think probably sometime in early September. I had flown him over from Colorado Springs on a round trip ticket at that point. So he came over here and probably spent 3 or 4 days with me in that. And then, obviously we got him back to the plane and got him back safely to his mom. In that case, it was a transfer flight from the Durango airport or the Denver airport to a flight to Colorado Springs. And it was my goal to keep him on a direct flight or one that he never had to change planes with, because there was some controversy between Mom and I about him being 13 years old and being able to do those kinds of things. And so, when I got the flight for him, I made sure that it was a flight that he could get on in Colorado Springs.
Tell me a little bit about Dylan. What kind of
kid
has he been growing up? What's he like?
It actually ended there. I thought I did something, but that one actually ends there. You guys are on it tonight with all of paying attention to the body language now. Yeah. So let me see if I can answer any questions. No, it wasn't the child support. None of that was an issue at all. She honestly wanted a clean cut, but it didn't happen. So she said, okay, but before this happened, he had visitation. He did not use it. He was a trucker. Sorry, Steve, another trucker. He was on the road. Got to turn my air back on, you guys. I turned it off so you could hear. I don't know why that is so quiet. With Dylan and his father, I'm sorry, I have to find out. Yeah, it was a prior trip where the pictures were found. This was a trip. There was a trip where Dylan and his brother were with Mark, and they found pictures on Mark's computer. Oh, thank you. Yes. It is. It's worse than that. And I don't plan, if anyone would like to see them, you can email me, but I'll tell you, and I have it loaded and saved in my playlist. However, it is, trust me, once you see it, it's going to be hard it's going to be hard to get those pictures out of your head. Okay. However, if you want, I will describe them to you. Okay. Because that right there is bad enough. It was a trip earlier in the year. Tony says no. Yeah, I'm not going to show them. I'm not going to show anything, trust me. Okay, so hold on. I want to finish a few things first. There were more things that were found. They were found scattered all over. Okay. But in one interview, Dylan's brother Corey said that the way that things were found, that it could not have been solely animals doing it. There was a femur, there was the scapula, but one of the reasons that the defense tried to say that it was animals was because his toes were found in animal scat. So they had to gather all the animal scat in the area. This is forensics, you guys. This is how they catch killers. And they gathered all of the animals, any kind of animals that they could find in the area, and everything got tested to find out if that were the case. So, and in August of 2016, investigators received a tip that Mark Redwine had disposed of several items. So they retrieved everything. They got a tip. They went and they picked up everything that they could find, and they retrieved pictures of Dylan from the ages of 10 to 13, pictures of Dylan's mother, an old driver's license. And this is stuff that he had thrown away because that's what you do when you don't, your son, you now know something happened to him. You just throw it all away. This is a guy that really cares. Oh, what is Denny going somewhere? Okay, thought I missed something. Now, the pictures of Mark, the Corey and his brother were on a trip with Mark. They had gone to go see a ball game. This is one of the things that they did together. They'd gone to go see a ball game, and Dylan found these pictures. He was using his dad's laptop, and he found pictures on his dad's laptop. And he calls his brother Corey and he says, "You've got to come see this." So Corey goes to see what he has, and it's these pictures. Oh, okay. And it is Mark in women's clothing. He's taken pictures of himself in this clothing. There are pictures of him wearing a diaper. There are pictures of him with poop in the diaper, with him with the diaper on, and him with it on his face and holding the diaper up to his face. Okay, I'm going to tell you, that's why I'm not showing it, because I'm going to tell you, you're never going to get that out of your head. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And if you can imagine, the reason I'm telling you is now imagine what his sons thought about their dad. They're on a trip to go watch baseball games, to go to racing, car racing, to go to tracks, to go see cars, to guy stuff. They're off to go on a trip to go do guy stuff. This is the pictures they find. Corey takes out his phone. He said at the time he had one of those flip phones. Took pictures, told Dylan to leave it alone, because Dylan did not need to be, at the time that it happened, it was like a year before this year. It was not very long. It wasn't like years before. It was like the year before. And he didn't want, because Dylan had to go see his dad because all this court order stuff. And he didn't have to spend that time with him, but he did not want this to be a thing between him and, to do worse damage to Dylan. So he said, I took the pictures. I kept the pictures. It is horrible. And it is Okay, what? Yeah. It's a type of a fetish as well. So this is something that no, I don't believe they did. I have not seen anywhere in there, Lori, that when he got court ordered to go, I don't think there was anything in the court order or anything. I don't know that they were shown those at the time, but I may just not have found it because it was a fetish, because that's what he was getting off on. I'm thinking that's the case, but I'm not positive. So as I said, you guys, we're going to cover a lot more of this going forward. We're on the next one. We will cover the trial and all of the other things that had. I think they told the mom. I don't. I would say that they probably did show the mom. I'm positive they told her. I'm positive he did. I think that there's a lot of evidence that Mark was abusive, that he was physically abusive, that he was mentally abusive, that he would fly off in rages. But the mother said that she never felt like he would hurt anybody. Now, obviously she was wrong and not seeing things clearly. And she did get away from him and was trying to do the right thing. Yeah, unfortunately there are. Because pretty sure that's why he took the pictures, so that he could share it with whoever his friends were that were into it too. I believe that's what that's called, is S paraphilia. It gets much worse, yes. Right? Kinky or stinky. Well, so all right, let me see what other videos I have over here. Hold on. Don't worry, I'm not going to show you. Okay, this one is a little bit about with the mother, okay? And this was Mark and his and I'm not going to play this whole thing. But the mother and Mark were both interviewed in 2013, okay? And I'll show you a little bit of her interview. This is Elaine, Dylan's mom.
So many people have asked me that. Dylan is just a very humorous kid. He's got such a great sense of humor. Always made us laugh. Very conscientious, very selfless. Very caring, very giving. Just an awesome, awesome kid. I never really had any um, issues as far as him. He was 13. He'll be 14 soon, and never really dealt with that teenage year. He is just he's an awesome, awesome kid. Was he 7th grade, 8th grade, 8th grade, right? 8th grade. and 14. Have you made plans for what you want to do?
I want to be with you. Right now, that's just the major, obviously, I would like it home today. I would like it home now. But I haven't really got that far. I mean, I just can't wait to go home for him. And he can plan his birthday.
Take me back to November and tell me, you put him on the plane on Sunday, and then what happened? Did he call you and say, "Hey, Mom, we made it okay"? Or
As he always does, he texted me and let me know that his dad had picked him up. That was the next time. It's 7:06 p.m. And I have not heard from him since.
did you try to get a hold of him on Monday?
I texted him Sunday night, I texted him Monday morning. But, it wasn't uncharacteristic of Dylan not to text me back right away, especially if he was with his friend, which is what I kind of assumed had happened, because I know he was really excited to see his friend. So I really didn't think much of it. And then that afternoon, I got a text from his dad asking me if I knew Dylan was. I was dumbfounded. I mean, Dylan was visiting his father, and I told him it was very disconcerting that he had texted me and asked me where Dylan was, considering I'm, 5-6 hours away. So, we all got in the car and we drove to Durango.
Immediately?
Yes, immediately I came home, packed a bag, grabbed Mike, grabbed Corey, and we were on the road to Durango.
When did you know that it was serious that he was missing?
That's a tough question. It was serious when, his dad texted me and said he hadn't heard from him. But I never thought that, he'd be sitting here 2 months later and he wasn't here. So I guess the seriousness just grew and grew and grew as time went by.
We were talking. There's those pictures from the airport and from Walmart, right, where he's in that outfit with the Blue Devils hat, and the T-shirt, and do you think that when he went missing, he was probably still wearing that?
Yes, I do. Dylan didn't change his clothes out. He was 13, and he was just learning about. His brother was teaching him about deodorant and things like that. So he wasn't all that worried about what he was wearing. He always thought he looked fine.
A typical 13-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Now remember, at this time, this is February of 2013, and he still had not been found. His remains were not found until June.
Like sports, especially baseball, right?
He loved sports. That was him and his brothers. He loved throwing the football around with his brother. He didn't necessarily like playing. He liked to play football. He wasn't just wasn't all that big on the tackling, the pain. So he really enjoyed baseball though, and really enjoyed playing baseball.
So you guys moved here last summer. Did he want to be here? Was he acclimating well? Do you think there's any possibility that he just, had been bullied or anything like that?
No, absolutely not. He loved being here. He loved his friends. He made so many friends here. He loved going to Skate City with his friend Joe and all of his friends in our old neighborhood in Colorado Springs. No, and he woke up every morning bright and early for school because he was excited for school. And Bayfield
he, you know, he wouldn't, I'm sick today, or, it was just a little bit harder. But here, he loved being in the city. He loved just the atmosphere of what was going on, around here, and loved being able to go to the Rockies games in the summer. We went to Waterworld, which is, he enjoyed it. There was no indication whatsoever that he didn't like being here. And Dylan talked to me.
She is speaking in past tense, but Lori, I do believe that the reason that she is speaking in past tense because at the time that she did this interview, I feel like she knew that he was already gone. That's what I think. So, I mean, I can't prove that, but I feel like that is why. That in some way she has realized that she wasn't going to get him back because it had been from December of 2012, no, November 2012, and this is February 2013. So this is months later. So, but she was accused that his father did accuse her of being involved. He said that she came and kidnapped him and took him and she knew where he was. Okay, you guys, I think that's all at the moment that I'm going to say on this one. We'll continue this one next week. And now I want to go ahead and play for you. I know you guys are going to have questions, but I want to pull the rest of the story together for you. He was convicted, by the way, and he is serving. So we will get to all of that next week. I know, cliffhanger, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. It's too bad she did not act sooner. Yeah. Cheryl, do you know where that skate park is she was talking about called Skate City up in Carefree area, North Carefree? Because that's where he used to go with his friends to the Skate City. Okay, now I want to play for you today's big news with Brian Laundrie. And I have this ready so that you guys can hear. This is the words of Brian Laundrie directly. Yeah, it's over by Hobby Lobby, I think, Cheryl. These are Brian Laundrie's words straight out of his notebook. It was released today. And if you guys remember, this is the Gabby Petito case that Brian Laundrie killed his girlfriend, Gabby Petito, and then killed himself out in the Florida Everglades. So if you all remember that, that is what we're talking about. And I'm going to go ahead and share this with you. And this is his words. I've got it already marked to that point. Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito, the Gabby Petito case. She was a blogger, was starting trying to start a website and stuff, and they were in a van. Her and her boyfriend were in a van. Hi, Tammy. And she went missing. Okay. This was huge news last year. And early this year too. It went into early this year. Okay, here we go. That's JB right here on the left and Walt on the right. I couldn't remember his name earlier.
Now, but first... is why I cannot go on. When I close my eyes,
Dang it. Okay, we'll start again. Sorry.
Why this was released, who this favors, which side in the civil lawsuit. Does it favor the Petitos and Schmidts, or does it favor the Laundries? We're going to kind of get into this now. But first, here is the final words in 8 pages in the notebook found at the Carlton Reserve, gathered by the FBI, the final words of Brian Laundrie. It reads as follows. Gabby, I wish I was right at your side. I wish I could be talking to you.
Can you guys hear now? I want to make sure before I keep going. Someone tell me you can hear. Okay.
Right now, I'd be going through every morning we made, getting even more excited for this future. But we lost our future. I can't live without you. I can't be without you. I've lost every day we could have spent together, every holiday. I'll never get to... I can't bear to look at our photos, to recall great times, because it is why I cannot go on. When I close my eyes, I will think of lounging on the roof of the van, falling asleep to the sight of, unintelligible, at the Crystal Geyser. I will always love you. If you were reading Gab's journal, looking at photos of our life together, flipping through old cards, you wouldn't want to live a day without her. Knowing that every day you'll wake up without her, you wouldn't want to wake up. I'm sorry to everyone this will affect. Gabby was the love of my life, but I, unintelligible, by many. I'm so very sorry to her family because I love them. I'd consider her younger siblings my best of friends. I am sorry to my family. This is a shock to you as well, a terrible grief. They loved her so much, if not more than me. A new daughter to my mother, an aunt to my nephews. Please do not make this harder for them. This occurred as an unexpected tragedy. Pushing back to our car, trying to cross the streams of a creek before it got too dark to see, too cold, I hear a splash and a scream I could barely see. I couldn't find her for a moment. Shouted her name. I found her breathing heavily, gasping, and, unintelligible, was freezing cold. Also unintelligible. Something, the blazing hot national parks in Utah. The temperature had dropped to freezing, and she was soaking wet. I carried her as far as I could down the stream towards the car, stumbling, exhausted and shocked. When my, unintelligible, and no, I couldn't safely carry her, I started a fire and spooned her as close to the heat. She was so thin, had already been freezing too long. I couldn't at the time realize that I should have started a fire first, but I wanted her out of the cold back to the car. From where I started the fire, I had no idea how far the car might be. Only knew it was across the creek. When I pulled Gabby out of the water, she couldn't tell me what hurt. She had a small bruise on her forehead that eventually got larger. Her feet hurt, her wrist hurt, but she was freezing, shaking violently. While carrying her, she continually made sounds of pain. Laying next to her, she said little, lapsing between violent shakes, gasping in pain, begging for an end to her pain. She would fall asleep, and I would shake her awake, fearing she shouldn't close her eyes if she had a concussion. She would wake in pain, start her whole painful cycle again, furious that I was the one waking her. She wouldn't let me try to cross the creek, thought like me that the fire would go out in her sleep and she'd freeze. I don't know what the extent of Gabby's injuries, only that she was in extreme pain. I ended her life. I thought it was merciful, thought it was what she wanted. But I see now all the mistakes I made. I panicked. I was in shock. But from the moment I decided, took away her pain, I knew I couldn't go on without her. I rushed home to spend my time I had left with my family. I wanted to drive north and let James or TJ kill me. But I wouldn't want them to spend time in jail over my mistake, even though I'm sure they would have liked to. I am ending my life, not because of a fear of punishment, but rather because I can't stand to live another day without her. I've lost our whole future together, every moment we could have shared. I'm sorry for everyone's loss. Please do not make life harder for my family. They lost a son and a daughter, the most beautiful girl in the world, Gabby. I'm sorry. I have killed myself by this creek in the hopes that animals may tear me apart, that it may make some of her family happy. Please pick up all of my things. Gabby hated people who litter. Are the final words of Brian Laundrie as it's been, again, given to us. And I also, too, I want to read because, interestingly enough, when this was sent my way, this from Stephen Bertolino, the Laundrie attorney, it did include a cover letter with his header at the top of it. So I don't know if people have seen this yet, if it's been made public, but I want to read the letter that Stephen Bertolino sent, or really included as a cover letter for the release of this evidence. And it reads as follows. Regarding Brian Laundrie, today the Petito family attorney Patrick Riley and myself met with the FBI in Tampa to sort through and take possession of the personal items that belong to Gabby and Brian. This was a previously agreed upon exchange to enable both the Petitos and the Laundries to receive what belonged to their respective children. As part of this return of property in FBI custody, I was given Brian's notebook. I would like to share with the public the note that the FBI alluded to when they said on January 21st, 2022, that Brian claimed responsibility for the death of Gabby Petito. Although I have chosen to release this letter as a matter of transparency, I will not be commenting further, as there are still proceedings pending in court. These are Brian's words. And then it continues on for these 8 pages.
A crock of BS. I agree. Can you believe? Yeah. How did he know that her feet hurt? Yeah. And a bruise, it just kept getting bigger. He had plenty of time to create that story on his way back without her. Right? So I this was huge today, so I really wanted to make sure that
Brian left behind. Again, the notebook that has been
I had to turn it off, and to do that I have to collapse it and all that stuff. Yeah. A lot, Steve. A lot. As you will see now, Alicia B was already, she found it earlier and was going through, and what she's saying is exactly right. He strangled her. She was begging not to be killed, I'm sure. Not what he's saying. Exactly. You guys are picking up on that stuff now. Yeah, the Bethunes located the van, and yeah. Yep. And he knew it was somebody was going to find it. Somebody was going to find it. I was looking to see what else. Yeah. I just can't stand to live with her, but I killed her. Gasping yes was when he strangled her. Uh, what did you mean? How many did he talk about? You're saying he said that a couple of different times. I missed that. So that he went over crossing over a couple of different creeks. I missed that. Oh, who knows? Yeah, we all know they knew. We all know that they knew that something happened. And see, that's going on now. I don't know. Um, oh gosh, I'm trying to think. Did they? Yeah, I haven't had a chance to finish watching any of that. Has anybody watched any of that? And can you tell us if they came out with anything new from those? Because they had the preliminary uh, meeting hearing the other day for the lawsuit that the Petitos have against the Laundries. Well, my love, when I call for help, yeah, right? You'd go run into the road and go get some help, something, somewhere. It's ridiculous. Okay, the judge gives his response in 2 weeks, but they did have a hearing. I saw that there was something going on, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and look at that. Yeah, okay, so he said she fell in the creek. He carried her toward the car, made a fire, and knew they were across the creek from the car. Right. That did sound strange. So, what I'm going to do, you guys, I will write this out because this is going to be a very good exercise to do. I'm going to write this entire thing out as if it were written in these, these are small little 8 pages, but I'm going to write them all out and then we can analyze them together. Because this would be a very good exercise in analyzing the words that he said. Yeah, there's no way. Yeah, he backtracked too. So the hearing was to see if they're going ahead with the lawsuit, and the judge said he will give his response in 2 weeks. Okay. I know there was a lot of argument about whether there was, enough evidence and stuff. Good night, Tony. So have you guys got anything else that you want to talk about before we go? I don't want to keep you too long. We're already almost an hour and a half in. I try to keep these around an hour, and that is why I really wanted to show this Brian Laundrie deal today. And I decided to do that in two different episodes of the next Friday. We'll finish up with Dylan Redwine. I hope I can finish it up for you. But I don't know because you know what? There's so much there. Why did he wait till near dark to head? I know. It doesn't make sense. They both got wet from the creek. Yeah. Right? Well, Boy Scout that he was. We could talk for hours. We could. Okay, Denise. Oh, well, there's a lot of that, Steve, I'm afraid. There's a lot of dead spots here. Big state. And I just know that not all of I can tell you that not all of the cell towers in Texas talk to each other. Yeah, that's a thing here. Oh, I'm so glad you guys all came and hung out with me. Okay, so tomorrow morning we're going to be talking about affirmations. That's a good idea, Lori, but I will put, see, you're going to have to watch the community tab, because if I put something there, you guys are going to have to actually go over and look for it. I'm not sure it's going to notify you. I'll see, but I may be able to put a video in there for you to go over and look at for before tomorrow. So that's a really good question. I'm glad you asked me. Tomorrow morning we are doing affirmations. Yeah, that's so cool. We have 43 here now. I hope we have 43 thumbs. So glad you guys are all here and you are all watching. I love Friday nights. I'm sorry I didn't have my jammies on. I thought I was going to get out today, and then it was like, it was just so hot. I just couldn't do it. I just didn't have it in me to get out in the heat. That's okay, Steve. I understand. You got a job to do, sir. And we are thankful for it, given the price of gas. Okay, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all, and I appreciate the thumbs and the watches and all of the things. And I will see you in the morning. Some of you, anyway. Bye, everybody, and have fun today. Good night.